If you are serious about your boating, and I mean really serious, well then you want one of these. This is a 2001 Dale Nelson 38. These are real bruisers. This is what the pilots and the customs and people like that use when they need to go out in all weathers. This is what they pick, and what this is effectively is like a leisure version of a pilot boat. So it means you get all of that practicality, all of that serious seakeeping, but you actually get some decent accommodation as well. They're a wonderful thing. As I say, if you're serious about boating, well then this is a serious boat. You can see actually the kind of practical touches when you look at things like this. Whereas a lot of boats have a stainless steel rubbing band, this one's got basically a bloody great thick rubber D-band. If you come against a quay with that, you're not going to rip your stainless steel to shreds, you're just going to bounce off. And the other thing that you find with this as well, so the bathing platform on the back here, you've got davits here, but it's really low. You see how here you can step straight onto the side. You know, a lot of these boats that we look at, you're onto the bathing platform and up, and there's no chance of getting on the side of the boat at all because they're just so high to get the accommodation in. These are not an accommodation biased boat, these are a seakeeping biased boat. So they're low, they're narrow, and they're fantastic. Let's step on board. And I think what we'll do is wander up this way and do a loop round and back to the interior. So if we come up here, that's a life raft in the centre just there. They're really wide decks, really easy to walk around, and nice high rails on here as well. It's almost waist height. And you can feel the bow rising up here. You've got the anchor kit up here on the front. You've got the buttons there for the anchor up and down. This big chunky bollard on here as well as the cleats. And this is how it looks from here. It's what we call in the trade a bruiser. You pick a fight with this, you're going to lose. This is proper go anywhere stuff. These are absolutely tremendous boats. So let's wander back down this side. These are the fillers here for the fuel. That's these two here, twin tanks, and that's the pump out for the holding tank for the waste. And then back here, that is the water filler. Now if we step up here, now we've stepped up onto an aft deck because the accommodation on this boat runs the whole length of the boat. You'll see that when we go inside. So really good accommodation for its length. What we've got here is seating. This one's got the cover on. We took the cover off here just so you can see how it looks. There's obviously a base seat that goes there, or cushion I should say, and there's storage underneath these as well. So you've got a little bit of room for deck gear just by flicking these catches and lifting that up like so. Everything on these is absolutely rock solid. And then here you have got the helm position. In fact, there's two helm positions on this one. This is the outside helm position. There's another position inside. And then you've got also the arch here for the radar. Two radars, in fact, on this one. I've not seen that before. I told you it was a serious bit of kit, didn't I? And then you've got TV aerial, nav lights and that sort of stuff. You might wonder about having two radars. Quite often the reason they do that, so you can have two different ranges. So you can have one set really long range and one set at close range, or just for a backup, of course. So this is your helm position. Tremendous view out over the front of the boat. There's a multi-function display in behind this one. It's Fruno. There it is. And then you've got Simrad Autopilot. That is your tridata for your speed and your depth. And then engine instrumentation is here, start, stop buttons, that kind of stuff. And of course your big chunky throttles are here. And that is for your VHF radio, that slots into there. Let's go and take a look inside. Now for a 38-foot boat, it is quite narrow. And that again points to the fact that it is all about seakeeping. It's all about pushing through those big waves. And you don't want a big fat boat to do that. So in here, the saloon area, I mean, it's absolutely fine, of course, but it is smaller perhaps than you'd find on a more conventional style of boat. That's your trade-off. There's always a trade-off between seakeeping and accommodation, and this is very much seakeeping biased, but it's absolutely fine. You've got seating around here, so it's quite sociable. There is, in fact, a little table, you can see it, snugged in against here, that you can take out and pop in here if you want to. But there's a larger dinette for having actual dinner down on the lower deck. We'll look at that in just a moment. And then up here, you got your captain's chair, big vertical wheel. It's all proper boat stuff, isn't it? Little ship stuff, I should say. And then you've got your VHF radio controllers there. This is some pretty serious Furuno Navnet kit actually. It's pretty commercial stuff on here. And there's another display over there. So that's what I was saying about the two radars. That's so if you've got a navigator here, they can have their own radar going. You can have yours over here. I mean, this is designed, as I say, for going to sea, isn't it? Absolutely. Here we go. Nelson 38, they build these in Pembrokeshire in Wales. And this is, of course, your engine instrumentation here. So you've got your rev counters, you've got your pressures and your temperatures and all that kind of stuff there. Exhaust alarms, this is a good idea. You don't see this very often. Boats generally have an overheating alarm for the engine. So if your engines get hot, it'll let you know. What this has got is an exhaust alarm, because if you get a blockage, then your exhaust overheats much sooner than your engines because the cooling water stops, and then the engines start to heat up. So an exhaust alarm is a really good idea if you're serious about boating, because it warns you of any problems immediately rather than waiting for the engines to start to overheat. Bilge pumps, again, look at all these bilge pumps. These are all automatic. You've got manual switching as well, so you leave them on auto, you can have them on off, or you can switch them to manual if you want to use them. But you've got forward port, forward starboard, engine port, engine starboard, aft. A lot of pumps on here. Speed and depth up here, and that is actually a forward-looking sonar, Echo Pilot. That's an interesting thing. I haven't seen one of those for a while, but it actually scans the water ahead for depth. I think that only operates at fairly low speed, but it's a nice thing to have when you're exploring up shallow rivers. So that's your helm there. You've got the navigator seat over on this side, and as I say, your own individual multifunction display up there. This is an area to put charts onto. You can see how proper it is. Look at this. These are dividers. This is old school, isn't it? There we go. You measure your distances with these. Let's pop that back in there. And then if we head on forward again, that takes us down to the lower deck. This stuff here, just as we're going past, you've got a tank tender. This is quite an accurate gauge for your levels. What else have we got here? That's TV aerial there. Light switches are here. The other things that we've got here actually is, if we could shuffle back just a little bit, it's a very nice bar unit here. A little bit unstocked at the minute, but that's where that goes, and all your glasses and so on. The woodwork in these is lovely. And on the other side to that is a fridge. So you have got a saloon fridge as well, and again, more space for glasses. So that's like a little bar area there, really, isn't it? And then up here, this one is all of the circuit breakers and your power distribution and so forth. So that's all nice and get-atable. So let's head on down to the lower deck. This is nice. You've got this lovely, cosy dinette area down here. Great place to tuck yourself away, and it's right opposite the galley. So of an evening, to come down here and cook a meal and chat and sit around, that's really lovely. It's a completely separate space on the boat, and it's very, very nice. The galley is over here. It's all electric because it's got a generator on board, so you can power that when you're out at sea. Sink here, of course. This is all storage in behind here, and then another fridge down here, and then these are drawers. Like so. The woodwork in here just is all so super solid. It's real built to last stuff. And these drawers, you have to lift them to open them so that they don't fly open at sea, because they drop into place like that. These are just little heaters that are kept on the boat in the winter just to keep a little bit of warmth in here. That's a very good idea. There's more storage in behind all of these. These are all shaped for your plates and bits and pieces so they don't fly about. And that's that dinette area. There's air conditioning on this one. That's what these controls are for. All these windows open, and there's a hatch overhead as well. And if we head on forward again, that then is your guest cabin. So, twin beds in here. Come right on in fact. You'll find we've got a wardrobe tucked in behind there, and shelves, more storage up around the head here. Very good. This is interesting. That there is because there's a hatch up above, but how do you get out of it? If you wanted to get out of there in an emergency, well, you can step on the bed, and then that's just to give you an extra little lift up and out. Ensuite access, that's into the day head, so there's another door for that from that dinette area. I'll show you that in just a second. Shower in there as well. That pulls out of the sink, like so. And there's a curtain there as well, so you can curtain off these doors if you want to. And that, as I say, is also accessed. If we come back out through here, there we go, another doorway into the same area, so you don't need to go into cabins to get in and use that. And I mentioned it was an aft cabin boat, and we had that raised deck at the back where the helm was. So if we come back here, we will find that there's another entranceway down over on this side, and we can wander down here, and this is a completely separate owner's cabin. What's nice about this, of course, is your guests are right up at the bow, you're right back here in the stern, so you've got a lot of privacy. It's really nice. And this has its own facilities, which I'll show you in just a moment. So in here, again, plenty of storage about the place. There is, if I unclip that fella there, there we go, that just pulls across, and that one then is hanging locker. Let's clip that back open again. There we go. And then you've got windows all the way around, you've got blinds, you can see they're down on these ones here. Another hatch up overhead, that's up through to that aft deck. And if we come around here then, there's a load more storage over on this side. It's all tucked away in places like this. And again, that lovely woodwork about the place. Got a dressing table there. So that is the owner's cabin, and this one, as I mentioned, is en suite. That's in here. This is very ship-like, isn't it, the way they've curved these doors off like this. And that is that. So you've got toilet in underneath there, and then again there's a shower that pulls out thusly, and a little mirror. As I say, for a near 40-foot boat, although it's pretty narrow, the space is pretty good because they've used the full length of it. Quite often with boats, as you know, you have the cockpit back here, and then you have the saloon doors, and then all your accommodation is from that point forward. With this one, it is literally right to the very back of the boat. This is the aft bulkhead, the transom of the boat just here. So although it's narrow, it's actually nicely configured. So the last thing to talk about then, and very important on a boat like this, is the engines, and they are under the floor just here. So if we hook that fella open, and then we could find our way down. Here we go. Now these are a pair of Yanmar 6LY2M STE engines. They are 420 horsepower each, and they're giving this boat, now it's a semi-displacement boat, it's not a planing boat, so it's designed to push through the waves, not bounce over them, and that again is all about sea keeping. But nonetheless, you've still got about 27 knots. In fact, I was told it was 27.3. That's kind of accuracy that you get from people who own these kinds of boats. So that's your maximum speed, but you actually cruise these typically at about 18. And the range on this, probably a couple of 100 miles. You find with these, they're not as fast or as economical as a planing boat, because a planing boat is skimming across the top. The difference is that when that top is bumpy, pushing through it rather than bouncing over it is a far more comfortable experience. So that's what these are all about. They're about sea keeping. They're about pushing on when the weather's bad, and this is brilliant for that. Conventional shaft drive, you can see the gearboxes on the back of the engine there and the shafts going out, and the generator lives down here, that's just behind me as well. So there we go, that is the engine space, and that is a Dale Nelson 38. Let's come back out of here and we'll spin on round, come back up this little ladder. Drop that, look at the thickness of that hatch. That's all about sound deadening. There we go. And I think we're going to finish up at this dinette. I think this would be a really cosy place to be of an evening, having a drink, having a chat. So I'm going to sit down here And I am going to say huge thanks to Berthon. They've got this one for sale. I'll edit that out, don't worry. And I'm going to say huge thanks to Berthon. They've got this one for sale, and a huge thanks, of course, to you guys for watching. Do me a favour, if you've not already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel, and it will keep you posted on new videos coming. And we'll look forward to catching you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.